Hey, well, tonight I'm angry about the way we treat prisoners. I'm talking about the way that we treat people who are incarcerated here in the United States. You may not remember, but Fyodor Dostoevsky, who was a famous Russian writer, he pointed out that you can judge a society by how well it treats its prisoners, and we do not treat our prisoners well at all. Even worse than that, people who are outside of prison don't seem to care at all for how people inside prison are treated. So what brought this to mind was that just about a week ago, there were repercussions at a New Jersey women's prison. 31 prison staff members were suspended, including 11 men and 11 women. And this took place about a year after this report came out. This was the United States Department of Justice. They investigated the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for Women. This is the place that just fired all those people. First of all, I would point out that this report, which documented the conditions that the inmates were living under, conditions that transgressed the law, this was brought to public attention in April of 2020. This report is almost 1 year old. The only repercussions are almost 1 year later, with these guards and administrators being relieved. Now, we can talk about whether prison rehabilitates people or not, but the fact is that as a civilized society, if somebody is sentenced to a certain period of time of punishment, of lack of freedom for their crime, we've always said that if you've served your time, you have paid your debts to society. But you haven't, because first, when you get out of jail, you'll find that you can't get a job because you're a convict. Second of all, because you're a convict, you can no longer vote. You also can't own a weapon. What happened to you've paid your debt to society? And it's much worse than that. I mean, if you look at the report of what these women in this correctional facility have endured, and I know that this is not the only one. As a matter of fact, I would say that the facilities where this does not occur are the exception, not the rule. And this facility, even though it was a women's facility, the same problems exist in men's facilities. Whether it's inmates raping other inmates, whether it's guards raping inmates, whether it's inmates being treated poorly, whenever cruel or unusual punishment is inflicted upon these inmates, this is being done in our name. We are the ones who are endorsing it. We are the ones that smile as we pass these facilities, feeling that the people inside are paying their debt to society. Are they? Isn't it outrageous that somebody should suffer a rape, an assault? Isn't that cruel and unusual punishment? I would point out that if being raped in prison is not cruel and unusual, then that is even worse. And it does happen in prisons around the country, whether you're a man or a woman. Rape is just the tip of the iceberg. These inmates are never really allowed back into society. We don't treat them as if they've paid their debt, which they have. This is the sentence. If they've served it, they shouldn't suffer any further penalties. The system of justice is completely broken in this country. If you get snarled up in the justice system, you might be forced to take a plea deal just to avoid facing life in prison. And if, God forbid, you end up in prison, you cannot rely on the system protecting you. Cruel and unusual punishment seems to be the norm these days, both for these women in New Jersey and for men and women around the country. This is a judgment on us as a society. This is something that we should speak up against. Nobody seems to care about the underdog. Nobody seems to care how these prisoners are treated. But the way that we treat them is an indictment on us all. Please, let's wake up.